What's happening, everybody? Sorry, I'm a bit late. Uh, got a little tied up, but better late than never, right? With a couple hours to go before the start of championship week. Welcome to another episode of Facemask Fantasy. It's good to be back. Was out for week 16. Was traveling for the holidays. I tried to stay as active as I could be in Discord for those who could use the help. Point blank, if you're here, there's a good chance you are playing for something of significance. It's championship week. Also, I think I got levels. I'm pretty sure I'm good. I saw a few people just drop out, so hopefully there's no issues. But I think I'm okay. Was away for week 16. I was out of the country. Went to Mexico. Was spectacular. Highly recommend if you've never been there. Well, Mexico City, and then it bounced over for the final leg over to Puerto Vallarta on the west side. Highly recommend if anybody's got the time or the ability to do so. Was a great trip. So appreciate everybody's patience. Hopefully week 16 was kind to you, was favorable to you, and it's for all the marbles now. Week 17, championship week for most. Hopefully all. Ideally, nobody who follows this channel still plays in week 18. You all know my thoughts on that. For the vast majority of leagues, it's championship week this week. So whatever you have going on, we'll get it sorted out as it kicks off tonight. Well, it started on Thursday night between the Browns and the Jets. Hopefully, I didn't see Jerome Ford's performance coming, but if you had the opportunity to play him and did play him, congratulations. Breece Hall worked out nicely. Joe Flacco, without Amari Cooper, in the face of tough odds, came through for you if you stuck with him at quarterback. That was a tough call when Amari Cooper was ultimately ruled out. But Flacco keeps balling. Gave you what is likely a QB1 performance, low-end QB1 performance at least for the championship week. Can't ask for much more from Joe Flacco here in the year 2023. So we'll get into all of it. We'll get into the latest as far as injuries. And then, of course, start sit questions for your championship run. Again, one more time, if you are new or if you've been around the block, members will get their questions answered first. If you are feeling generous enough to offer a super, it's not necessary, but if you feel so inclined to, that would be a line jumper as well for questions. I'll then get to everybody else. Just ask for some patience as I navigate through the chat. And if you guys are enjoying the dialogue, the engagement, the conversation, everything overall, I just ask that you like the stream for algorithm purposes. Thank you in advance. Let's get into what we have as far as injuries. There is a lot to get through as it pertains to week 17, and it's going to matter ultimately for the decisions that you have for your lineup. There's so many to get through. I'm going to trace back to earlier in the week just to cover everything because I was off on Thursday. Marquise Brown is on season-ending injured reserve. He is done ahead of being a free agent in 2024. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals travel to Chicago. The Bears have been playing good defense in the second half of the season. So tough spot for Kyler. You probably have to start him as a back-end QB1 and just hope that he's able to run around and scramble for a score potentially. But it's going to be tough to trust anybody outside of James Conner in that offense. Josh Jacobs is doubtful for week 17. It has been a house of horrors to end this season if you have Josh Jacobs and we're relying on him as one of your anchors on your team out every single playoff week. Not ideal. Well, he's doubtful, but it's looking highly unlikely that he plays for the Raiders this week in Indianapolis. Jalen Waddle has been ruled out, so hopefully Tyreek Hill is closer to 100% this week than he was last week. They're going to need to rely on him in a tough matchup against Baltimore. That on the road, that's a tough spot for Tua. Not having Waddle for championship week. And again, in redraft leagues, At this point, if you guys need the roster spots, y'all know what to do. If your season ends this week and you need the roster spot, Jalen Waddle's a drop. On Thursday, Amari Cooper was a drop. Josh Jacobs is a drop. If you're out of IR spots and it's not a keeper league, in fact, you probably don't even need IR at this point anyway. You can stash somebody if you want to. But anybody who is anybody who is out for week 17 and this is your championship week, if they are out, this is a roster clogger. Move on from them. Jalen Waddle, Josh Jacobs, if you were still hanging on to Zach Moss, yeah, it's time to get rid of them. Add another player just in case between now and the games tomorrow. An active player, it has a by all account, whatever it is, better chance to participate for you than does a player who's already ruled out. Jacoby Brissett will start for Washington. Yeah, okay. I mean, Terry McLaurin's still a wide receiver 3. Brian Robinson will return for that offense. Against San Francisco, I can't trust Brian Robinson having missed the past couple of weeks. Terry McLaurin should see some volume, but he's a wide receiver 3. Yeah, Washington doesn't have a good situation at quarterback. Michael Pittman will play week 17. You are firing him up. You're not dropping Brian Robinson, but I don't feel any confidence firing him up this week. Puka Nacua is expected to play with a hip injury. You're firing Puka up on the road against the Giants. Will Levis is in line to start week 17. He is a QB2 in SuperFlex leagues only. The Chiefs' backfield, I guess we'll see. Isaiah Pacheco has clear concussion protocol and is expected to play. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you would figure he has some type of role, with Pacheco on the mend from a concussion, but he's questionable with an illness of his own. You're not relying on Clyde. Pacheco makes me nervous with the concussion. So if you have Pacheco and you're thinking about playing him, we can get into that as far as your other options. I don't feel great. He cleared concussion protocol. That's great in his first game back. It's a good matchup too against Cincinnati. They give up a good yards per carry to running backs, but I worry about guys the very first week back. Clearing concussion protocol less than a week from suffering the concussion makes me nervous. Jamar Chase is questionable for week 17. You play him if he goes. You wait for him. You play him if he goes. Just make sure to have an alternate to pivot to. Chase does play in the 4:25 Eastern slate, so you're not going to have anybody in the 1 o'clock window available to you if Chase is in fact out for this game. You hold out for Jamar Chase. It's championship week. You wait, hope he's ruled in. If he's not, you pivot to something else somebody else that is playing in the 4:25 window or later. Jordan Addison is questionable for week 17. Difficult to trust, even though they are playing the Packers. It's not a bad matchup. Green Bay is down multiple guys in their secondary, including Jair Alexander. So it's a great spot for Justin Jefferson, but sneaky spot for KJ Osborne, I suppose, with Addison banged up. Jaden Reed's not on the injury report for week 17. Jaden Reed is a dog, as Pat McAfee would say. That dude just suits up. You could probably fire him up as a wide receiver 3 if you need to, especially considering Christian Watson and Luke Musgrave are both doubtful. You're not firing either up if they go. Darnell Mooney is out for week 17. DJ Moore. Well, I mean, not that Darnell Mooney has really put much together on this campaign, but DJ Moore figures to see even more looks in a very beatable matchup against Arizona at home. And Cole Kmet is questionable. We'll see if he can go. He's a back end tight end 1. Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer ruled out. I don't think. Oh, man, I don't think you can. The only reason that you could trust Austin Eckler is if you think he's going to come through with volume, and Denver could be equally as incompetent on offense. They are turning the page on Russell Wilson. It's a great matchup by the numbers, even though Denver has been much better of late in the second half of the season on defense, and Eckler has struggled for the most part. Only one RB1 performance since week 11. Not what you're hoping to get from him. It's a great matchup. It's a bad offense. It's an equally bad situation on the other side with the Broncos turning to Jarrett Stidham. I don't really want to play Eckler. I really don't want to play Eckler um, unless you're down to like bare bones options. I would prefer to move off of him. Alvin Kamara should play. Najee Harris will play. Trevor Lawrence is out. Downgrade the Jags offense. You probably have to fire up Calvin Ridley. You still fire up Travis Etienne. After that, it's difficult to trust anybody. Zay Jones, Evan Ingram with CJ Beathard in there against Carolina. They can be had through the air, but a lot of times they are just, the numbers don't look great because of how gettable the Panthers are on the ground. So expect a big day from Travis Etienne. There could be volume issues for the ancillary weapons in Jacksonville's pass catching arsenal. Cortland Sutton is out. Just speaking of the Broncos, Russell Wilson has been benched. Cortland Sutton is out. Jerry Jeudy is questionable. Greg Dulcich is out. Greg Dulcich hasn't played this year. Marvin Mims is questionable. I'm not playing. Javonte Williams. Even again, it's similar vibes to Austin Eckler. I don't want to play Javonte Williams. I don't want to play Austin Eckler. I want to avoid that game like the plague, unless I have absolutely no other alternative. There could be points scored because of defensive incompetence and just, you wonder how much they're the only players who care in this game are the players that are playing, I guess they're playing for next year. It's just, it could be a random game. It could be a game that features a lot of young guys getting an opportunity on two teams who are out of the playoff race. Dicey situation. Don't really want to play Austin Eckler. Don't really want to play Javonte Williams. Kenneth Walker's a game time decision for week 17. And certainly a beatable matchup at home. You probably want to wait on him. But obviously it's tough being in the later window, being a game time call. DK Metcalf has been on the injury report. He will play. And I'm sorry, I think I said Chicago plays Arizona. Chicago plays Atlanta. Chicago plays Atlanta at home. What I said about Kyler, though, stands. He's playing Philly. That's a tough spot. It's a gettable matchup by the numbers, but he's down both of his weapons. He's down Marquise Brown. He does have Michael Wilson. He's back, but tough to trust anybody, I guess, outside of Trey McBride. Tough spot. James Conner probably has to be fired up as an RB2. And what I said about the Falcons or in the Cardinals in a tough matchup against Chicago does both the same for Atlanta. Desmond Ridder, you're not firing up. Drake London is a sit on the road. I'm not playing Drake London. The only guy you can fire up is Bijan. Bijan is in a tough matchup, but you have to fire him up and just hope he comes through on volume, even though we can't trust that offense. Kyle Pitts can be fired up as a low-end tight end one just because the matchup is so good, but I don't trust Ridder. So we could be looking at alternatives. So my bad. I just realized that mistake. My bad. Some of you may have already caught me in the chat. Mostly what I said applies to the same players, though, given the situations of both. Okay, I think that covers everything as far as the latest from the injury report. So we will get into all of that as far as what that means for your situation. Again, Context is key. Give me your scoring. How many receivers can you start? Are you a favorite? Are you an underdog? Can you play it safe? Do you think you need to be aggressive? And we'll sort that out with about 2 hours to go before kickoff. I got to say hello to my members first. AB, Greg, Jake, good to see all you guys. Appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out, helping to keep the lights on. Hopefully y'all are in the championship. And appreciate the kind words. AB, congrats. 2 teams in the championship. Nicely done. And it was a good trip. Mexico City is awesome. If you have the opportunity to go, it's for the most part quite affordable as far as trips go. Lots of cool things to see and do down there. Definite recommend. And Jay, congrats to you. 2 chips as well. Let's go. Good to see all y'all in here. Fighting for a championship. I have a big I'm down to a best ball tournament myself. I didn't have any leagues advance to the championship this year. I made the playoffs in every league that I have one SuperFlex team that I'm rebuilding. So, I'm at the bottom there. Although I have a couple of high first round picks this year in that league. So, hopefully turning it around quickly. But in every other league that I was competitive in, I made the playoffs. Just bowed out either the first or second round. It wasn't my year this year in my leagues, but I did get a tournament team to week 17 on Underdog Fantasy. It's a Chihuahua SuperFlex entry. So I have something to root for. 235 team final. So I got 234 teams that I'm competing with for payouts. If I can crack the top 50, I'll be very happy with that. Anything else would be incredible. I'm going to need a big game from CeeDee Lamb tonight. I need a big game from Jahmyr Gibbs tonight. Hopefully, those are not guys that you are rooting against in your situation. But if they are, obviously, best of luck regardless. Let's see. Is Carr safer than Browning? Carr's got a great matchup. Browning is in a tough spot, but I mean, he keeps coming through. He didn't have a great week last week. Browning did. He was missing Jamar Chase. Still gave you 300 yards passing and a touchdown. Obviously, the 3 interceptions are not good. He's still a backup quarterback, but he will have to throw in this game on the road. That being said, I do think I prefer Carr. Better matchup by the numbers. Definitively has Chris Olave, has Alvin Kamara, has his elite weapons to throw the football to. Put together a nice game last week. So even in a loss, you hope that Carr can keep that momentum going in a must-win situation and in a favorable matchup by the numbers. I do think Carr is safer than Browning, yes. Obviously, if Chase is back, that's great, but Carr plays in the early window and Browning plays in the late window, so I'm just firing up the safe option if I can. I'm just firing up the safe matchup option if I can. Browning would be an aggressive play. That's hard to trust, especially if Chase, even if he goes, is less than 100%. You have to fire up Jamar Chase, but Browning is a little bit more difficult to trust. Lots of tequila, lots of mojitos, lots of margaritas. Every restaurant I went to had a different variation of a margarita that I've never had before. They're using they're using this different color, wildflower agave. It's like, okay, sign me up. Let's just say the detox is underway. For the defense, Greg, I'm fine with the Bills. I know that they're lackluster, but this is a division game. The Bills are officially on the stretch that they needed to make the playoffs. They're on the heater. They're playing well. They're getting the wins. And I believe they're at home. Forgive me. I'm catching myself up on a few of the ancillary details that I'd otherwise be on top of. Obviously, just coming back. I just got to double check things. But yes, the Bills are at home. That changes things for me. I wasn't as crazy about them on the road last week, even against Easton Stick. I said as much in the Discord. It's tougher. Even good teams, it's just tougher to trust them on the road. You expect teams, even bad ones, to play better at home. That's what happened against the Chargers for the Bills. They're at home this time. Yes, it's a division opponent, but it's a pretty inferior division opponent as far as New England goes these days. Bailey Zappi on the road. He's down to Ezekiel Elliott. It's a tough spot. The Patriots have a bad offense. The Bills are fighting for something. They are playing for their playoff lives, and they are on the heater right now that they needed to get them there. I would fire up the Bills defense this week, probably as the top option. Because, considering the Browns already played, the Broncos are in a decent spot, but again, it's the battle of bad teams. Baltimore is probably rostered. Atlanta is in a decent spot in theory by the numbers, but they're on the road. I don't like them as much. The Cowboys are rostered. To me, if the Bills are available and if you didn't play the Browns Thursday night and you don't have the Ravens or the Cowboys tonight, I know the Cowboys are playing the Lions, so they feel a little dicey given Detroit's offense. If you don't have the Baltimore Ravens, play and the Buffalo Bills are available to you, you play the Buffalo Bills over everybody else. The Bills are the top. If they are available, they are the top option. And if somebody in your league dropped them because they got bad taste in their mouth after what happened last week, pick them up. Pick them up and play them at home against New England. If you don't have the Baltimore Ravens, and obviously you probably wouldn't be asking this question if you played the Cleveland Browns defense on Thursday. If you didn't have the Browns or you don't have the Ravens and the Bills are available to you, play the Bills. Play the Bills. They are the top streaming option this week. And Johnny, appreciate the super. That's very kind of you. You didn't have to duplicate that. You could, but very kind of you. Zamir White or David Montgomery tonight. And yes, obviously Montgomery goes in a couple of hours or about, I guess, 90 minutes at this point. So we want to make sure we address that. In full PPR, Zamir White is probably, given the matchup, probably a top 15 option this week because he has the backfield to himself. I like Montgomery a lot. I like Montgomery a lot. But in full PPR, it's possible that this is a Jahmyr Gibbs game as far as game script. They're playing an electric offense. Detroit is in Dallas. You figure that Gibbs is probably, more likely. If the Lions are playing with a lead, which they certainly could be, they're a good team, then Montgomery will be getting on the field more frequently. I have to imagine, in all likelihood, this is more likely than not to be a Jahmyr Gibbs game. There's no question who the game has to fall to as far as the Raiders' backfield goes. It's Zamir White. And on top of that, the Colts are giving up the second most points to running backs as far as default fantasy scoring goes over the past 4 weeks. It's as good a matchup as you can ask for. The Cowboys are giving up decent production to running backs as well, but the Colts are even better matchup, and there's no question who is getting all the work in that backfield. I think you have to go Zamir White. Montgomery could come through as a floor play. I think Zamir White is your ceiling play and the guy that I would go with. There's no question who's taking the backfield opportunities for the Raiders. It's Zamir White. Meanwhile, I think this is a game where if you expect that, there could be points scored in this game, I think a lot of people are probably expecting a lot of points to be scored in this game. A competitive game between two good teams vying for playoff seeding and spotting in both Detroit and Dallas. And the game is in Dallas, where they've been electric scoring the football. I feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have to be the guy tonight out of the Lions backfield. That doesn't mean Montgomery won't get involved, but Gibbs, if you assume that the Cowboys are winning this game, or even if the Lions are winning, they have to stay aggressive on the road. I would play Zamir White because, to that all that point, I would think Jahmyr Gibbs gets heavily involved tonight just based on what we expect the circumstances of this game to be. So Zamir White, appreciate the super, Johnny. You didn't have to duplicate it, but that was very kind of you, and appreciate the context. Obviously, scoring is always helpful to sort that out. So I would go Zamir White over Montgomery. Let's see, Greg, you have a. Should you go Nico over? Okay, so there's some ancillary options here. And it's not out of the realm of possibility where if you play Carr, you could stack him with Shaheed. That being said, you probably have to go Jaden Reed. Or excuse me. That's right. You have Nico. You're asking, do you play Nico over any of these guys? I mean, I would say Nico is your floor play and Reed is your upside play, and you might just want to go with Jaden Reed. I mean, the guy's on a bit of a heater. I know, Nico Collins is all. I'm very happy that Nico Collins has emerged into the receiver that he is. But I mean, man, Jaden Reed is on quite a run, and it is Nico's. It is his second game back. It's CJ Stroud's first game back. That's what it was. It's a bit of a better matchup for him against Tennessee. I like Jaden Reed quite a bit, but I guess, I think I got to go Nico. I think you have to play Nico Collins. I mean, Stroud is back. That's what I had to think about it for a second, but Stroud is back. I would play Nico. That's where I would go. I thought about Reed is such a good player. And is on quite a run himself. But Nico has cemented himself as his team's clear-cut wide receiver one, regardless of week and regardless of who's available. I would just go Nico. I would just go Nico. Johnny, that was really kind of you, man. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And best of luck. Best of luck to you, everybody in a championship game. Pat yourself on the back for being here. It is not easy to get to it. Especially if you got a couple, if you got two, pour a couple out tonight with your championship run starting. Well, if it didn't start Thursday, it possibly starts tonight. Best of luck to everybody. And appreciate that, John. Yeah, best. Hopefully steer you in the right direction. But I'll take the volume in Zamir White over Montgomery, who's a good player, but given the circumstances of the situation, I'll take the guy who should lead his backfield with ease as far as volume and opportunities. So yeah, Greg, I would go Nico with Stroud back. Tank Dell's obviously gone for the year. Give me Nico with his quarterback back. Yeah, and I know yeah, that's right, Greg. We talked. You're in the third place game. Hey, I mean, I got a third place match tomorrow. There's a payout if I get it, or if I get the win. It's not a big one. It's not the championship, but hey, if you finish top 3, that ain't so bad as far as most years go. It's disappointing. You'd rather be in the big one, but we can't win them all. Half PPR for AB, Schultz, Everett, or Jawan Johnson. Schultz is quite a good option. I got the Orange Bowl in the background right now. I don't know why. Georgia's absolutely blasting Florida State. It looks like they're just giving the ball to like linebackers at this point as far as running the ball. That dude looks like he's 260 pounds. Yeah, this is ugh. Sorry, Florida State. Anyway, Schultz again has his quarterback back against the Titans. Everett's catching passes from Easton Stick, even though everybody's out tomorrow for everybody's out tomorrow for the Chargers. I mean, Keenan Allen is probably done for the rest of the year. Um, Joshua Palmer is out. I mean, we're down to Quentin Johnston and Gerald Everett. I mean, at least Everett will get as many opportunities as he can, and then possibly Jawan Johnson, who I think he caught a touchdown. That's right. He did catch a touchdown on Thursday night last week when the Saints played the Rams. Um, but of course, he's like high variance. Could be more involved. Assuming if Taysom Hill hasn't been playing well recently, it's possible he's playing less than 100%. Um, I think I would go Schultz. He's got the best quarterback throwing him the ball in CJ Stroud of these guys. The Texans are playing for something. The Saints are too. But Schultz has the better quarterback and figures to be more likely to be a focal point of his offense. Tank Dell is out. Where are we at with Noah Brown? I haven't seen it. Is he what's the latest on his injury status? Because he's been on the injury report several times this year and certainly recently. But he's good. Oh, he's good to go this week. Okay, so Noah Brown might he's off the injury report, so Noah Brown might eat into the opportunities a little bit more. But you know, with CJ Stroud back and the Texans playing for something, I think I would go Schultz. Between the Raiders or the Eagles defense, the Raiders, AB, have the Colts on the road. I'm not crazy about that. The Eagles are at home against Arizona, who are banged up. No Marquise Brown. Kyler's expected to play. He was dealing with an illness earlier in this week. Kyler might cause problems for the Eagles, specifically with their linebackers. But he's down a lot of pieces. I just am default nervous about defenses playing on the road. The Raiders are playing much better recently. I just don't like them as much on the road. The Eagles are at home. If these are your top two options, AB, I would go with Philly. They're defending home turf. They can they can maintain their lead in the NFC East with a win tomorrow, regardless of what happens to Dallas tonight. I would go Philly. At least they're at home. At least they're at home. And between Mostert and Achane, as long as Mostert plays, he's the starter. It's a brutal matchup by the numbers, but he's been so good this year. You probably have to just roll the dice with Mostert and hope for the best. If Mostert suits up, I think you got to go with him. You got to go with the starter. All right, Jake. Again, I am making my way through my members. If you are kind enough to offer a super, you don't have to, but that would be a line jumper as well. I see everybody else's questions at the top. I just ask for some patience. I got to get to my members as a perk of the channel. But then as I wrap that up, I will move back up to the top of the chat and get everybody else. Appreciate everybody's patience. I haven't skipped anybody. We're getting there. Let's see. Jake, so Jake, you're an underdog in half PPR and you want to be aggressive. Okay. I can tell you what I think what I would do based on that. Ridley, Shaheed, Cooks, Reed, Demarcus Robinson. If you are that big, if you're an underdog to the point where you want to just take your chances. First of all, play the Baltimore Ravens defense. They are just the best unit. They are the best team. And Chicago's got a good spot at home, but Baltimore is just better. They're just better. And I know that they've got a tougher opponent in Miami. They're a good offense, but Baltimore's defending home turf. The Dolphins will not have Jalen Waddle. Yes, they have Tyreek Hill, but if there's any team that you trust right now, if there's any defense you trust right now to just do what is necessary to win the game and therefore set themselves up well, it's the Baltimore Ravens. Play Baltimore. That is the defense I would go with if that is the best. If that is an option to you, play Baltimore. They're the second best defense on the slate for me this week, other than, I guess, the Cleveland Browns, who already went. The Buffalo Bills are another defense that I really, if they happen to be available, they're my third favorite stream this week. Or they're my third favorite play this week, but the Baltimore Ravens still have to be two. They've earned that. They are just a damn good unit. And at home, maintaining their pace and wanting to keep their foot on the pedal to get the 1 seed in the conference, the Baltimore Ravens are your defense. As for your options, if you want to be aggressive, Ridley's a sit. Shaheed is in a great matchup, but yeah, it's tough to trust him any given week. He's a dart throw. He's a great dart throw option, but he's a dart throw nonetheless. Brandon Cooks has been rock solid at home since the Cowboys bye week. He has scored in double-digit fantasy points in half PPR in every game at home except for one. And in that one, it was a blowout. He wasn't needed anyway. I would play Cooks, and I would play Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is just a dog, as Pat McAfee would say. You play those two. You play those guys. Ridley has a strong floor, but CJ Beathard is not that good. If you need to play for your moonshots, for me, it's Cooks at home, and it's Reed in a good spot against Minnesota with Christian Watson and Luke Musgrave still out for the Packers. Those are your plays for me if you want to be aggressive. If you wanted to play it safe, I would tell you to play Ridley over Cooks, but I think you got to play Cooks and you got to play Reed. Demarcus Robinson has certainly emerged. It's just hard to. He's behind Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Reed is a starter and Cooks is a starter, like a main regular starter, and that's the difference for me as far as that dart throw as well. I would play Cooks and I would play Reed. Oof. Yeah, Carr had a great game. He had a good game. You could go back to the well with him as well this week if you have to. Johnny, appreciate the another Superman. That's very kind of you. Between Stroud and Kyler, Stroud is making his return. Kyler is in a slightly tougher spot, but I think I guess I trust him a little bit more. The Eagles, it's just such a good matchup by the numbers. The Eagles have really struggled. I mean, the New York Giants put up 26 points on them last week. Now, they did throw a pick six, so it was more like 20 points or 19 points. But the Eagles had a tough time slowing down the Giants' backup quarterbacks last week. Kyler's been a high-end QB2 or better most weeks since his return. I think you have to go with Kyler for the upside, even though he's down Marquise Brown. Trey McBride is a great option against the Eagles linebackers. He's got Michael Wilson. He's got Greg Dortch. He can flip the ball over to James Conner. I think there's enough there. And Kyler, of course, is a major threat running as well. I think I would go Kyler. Stroud is a floor play. Kyler is a ceiling play, and I would probably go with Kyler. I would probably go with Kyler. Stroud is a strong floor. I think Kyler might be a little more volatile, but I think his ceiling is stronger, and that's probably where I would go. Unless you're a massive favorite and you can play it safe, in which case I would play Stroud. If you're a massive favorite, then sure, play Stroud, but otherwise I would play Kyler. Okay, I think I got all of my member questions. Oh, you sat Flacco, Jake. Got you. Okay. Yeah, so we need some upside. Nobody saw the Flacco performance coming. Yes, he was at home, but short week in a tough spot against the Jets, who haven't given up very many strong quarterback performances this year. And he was down Amari Cooper. I think a lot of people pivoted off Flacco. Um, it is what it is. I think I got all my members. Pretty sure we're good. If any of my members, if you think you missed anything, or if I missed anything, just let me know. I'll make sure to grab it right away. I am now going to move back up to the top. Appreciate everybody's patience. Let's get it going. Okay, this is two running backs, two wide receivers, two flex, and a tight end. You have to put Jamar Chase in there until he's ruled out. You have to play. I guess you can play. You can play one tight end and a couple of flexes. Rashad White is a must. DeAndre Swift is a must. Those are your two running backs. Metcalf is, I guess Metcalf is a wide receiver option. DJ Moore has to be a wide receiver option. You put Jamar Chase in your flex. If he can't go, then you can pivot to Deontay Johnson. Rashad White, DeAndre Swift are your running backs. DK Metcalf and DJ Moore are your wide receivers. Jamar Chase is one of your flexes. You pivot to Deontay if he's out. And then Laporta, McBride, and Zamir White for your tight end and other two flexes, respectfully. Yep. Rashad White, DeAndre Swift, two running backs. Metcalf, DJ Moore, two wide receivers. Chase in the flex. If he can't go, then you pivot to, Chase in the flex, Zamir White in the flex, Trey McBride in the flex, Sam Laporta at tight end, and you switch to Deontay if Chase can't go. Yep. And play the Bills defense. They're the top. If you didn't play the Browns and you don't have the Baltimore Ravens, the Bills are the top option to you as far as defenses go against the New England Patriots at home. If they are available, play the Bills. Play the Bills. And yeah, happy holidays to you as well. I just put Chase in your flex, because if he can't go, well, I guess it doesn't matter. You could put Deontay into a wide receiver spot regardless. But if a player who's questionable on the injury report, I always put in my flex just for the sake of like maximizing potential flexibility. Yeah. Rashad White, DeAndre Swift, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Sam Laporta, tight end, and then McBride, Chase, Zamir White in your flex spots. And hopefully Chase goes. If he doesn't, you can pivot to Deontay. Let's see. Broncos or Rams as your defensive option. Man, I'm not crazy about either one. But I guess the Broncos have a decent shot at home against Easton Stick. I just don't know how this team is going to respond with the benching of Russell Wilson. Maybe the team is excited. Maybe they're happy. Maybe the team doesn't like Russ. There's been speculation that Sean Payton doesn't like Russ. Maybe the rest of the team doesn't like Russ, and maybe they play well. They rally around Jared Stidham, and they get to Easton Stick, and they're defending home turf, and they do all right. Maybe. Or maybe they don't care because, the team is appears to be mailing it in on the season. The Rams, we know, are playing for something, and but they are on the road against the Giants. I generally preach two things: a team that's playing at home and a team that's playing for something. Unfortunately, you don't have both of those in these situations. The Rams are playing for something, but they're not at home. The Broncos are not really playing for anything at this point, but they are at home. I guess I would lean the Broncos because they're at home. And you just hope that the defense gets to Easton Stick, who's down all of his wide receivers. Yeah, I guess that's where I would go. I would play the Broncos. I'll play the Broncos. And then between Kyler or Baker, Baker's on a hell of a run, but I gotta play Kyler. I gotta play Kyler. Give me the upside. Give me the upside. Yeah, Baker's playing well. The Bucks are on a run right now, and Baker definitely has better weapons. Baker definitely has better weapons, but I take the upside of Kyler, who should be able to come through in a great matchup where he has to play aggressive on the road. Kyler over Baker. Pickens, Flowers, or Singletary in full PPR. Um, Singletary gets his quarterback back, so that's great. Flowers has been so steady. Pickens has been difficult to trust, although he popped last week for like 35 or PPR points or something like that. Flowers has been consistent 3 of the past 4 weeks. Has scored a touchdown. He's at home. Singletary is 2. He's like an RB2. I'll say Singletary is your floor play and Flowers is your upside play. So it depends on what you need. It depends on what you need. If you want to play the floor play, if you think you can play it safe, then play Singletary. If you need the upside, I would go Flowers. Pickens exploded with Mason Rudolph last week. Perhaps that continues on the road. It's just he's been so inconsistent this year. I don't know that this 1-game sample size is enough for me to go back to the well with Pickens championship week. I don't know that I can trust that. I don't know that I can trust that. Yeah, okay. My bad. The Cardinals. Yeah, sorry. Some of y'all did see that. The Cardinals get Philly. The Falcons get the Bears. Yeah, my bad. Tyler Bass or Cairo Santos this week. I mean, are there any weather concerns in Buffalo? I think you have to just go Tyler Bass at home. We expect the Bills to handle their business against the Patriots, which means they're tacking on points specifically in the second half. They don't mind. It's possible that they have a sizable lead in the third quarter, and they don't mind kicking field goals at home, just tacking on points. I would go Bass. Unless there are any weather concerns. Let me check the Buffalo weather really quick. It looks like it might be cold, but I don't see any concerns about precipitation. What about the wind? Three to 4 miles an hour all day long. Yep. Nope. No concerns. Tyler Bass. Tyler Bass is your kicker if you have him. Tyler Bass. Greg, I got your questions. Zamir White or Ridley White? I would go Zamir White. Ridley is down to CJ Beathard, and Zamir White will dominate touches in the Raiders' backfield in a spectacular matchup against Indianapolis. Great matchup by the numbers. I think it has to be. I think it has to be Zamir White. With Jacobs out, yeah. Got to be Zamir White. Kyler or Stafford. Again, similar answer that I had for Kyler versus Baker Mayfield. I'm playing Kyler Murray. I'm playing the upside that that he brings to the table as a runner. And even without Marquise Brown, it's a great matchup by the numbers. The Eagles give up a ton of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. They allowed like 19 or 20 points of offense to Tyrod Taylor last week. Kyler Murray should be just fine with throwing the ball to Trey McBride, James Conner. He's gotten enough out of Greg Dortch at times and Michael Wilson. And of course, Kyler himself will run. Stafford is a fine floor play if you're a huge favorite. Otherwise, I would play Kyler. I would just play Kyler. Let's see. Is Christian Watson worth a keep next year? Christian Watson hasn't played this year. And we can, of course, get into keepers in the offseason and who might be the best option. But, I mean, he's on a decent run the past couple of weeks. But prior to that, there's nothing to go off of. Or excuse me, past couple weeks. I mean, the past couple weeks he's played. Week 12 and 13, yeah, Watson came to life. But, I mean, he's had two wide he's had a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2 week this week or this year, and that's been it. No, I mean, no, he's not. He's not. He's got a long way to go to prove his value next year. You buy him at a discount or you draft him at a discount, but you don't keep him. No. No. No way. Addison or Reed? Reed. Reed, he's not on the injury report. Addison is. Addison might not play. Even if he does, he's probably going to be less than 100%. I mean, Christian Watson's doubtful. Luke Musgrave is doubtful. He hasn't played for a while anyway. I mean, Reed. You play Jaden Reed. We can't trust Jordan Addison right now. We don't even know if he's going to play. Reed, even if Addison suits up. For sure. As far as Kansas City versus Houston, I would go Houston. The Chiefs were looking like a stronghold for the fantasy playoffs, but Houston's in a great spot. They're at home against the Tennessee Titans. That offense gives up over the last 4 weeks the third most fantasy points to opposing defenses. Houston is playing for playoff. They're jockeying for playoff position. Tennessee is out of it. Will Levis comes back from an absence due to an injury. We'll see how he does if he's less than 100% in his first game back. I think Houston's in a great spot tomorrow. That's where I would go over Kansas City. And Jake, I see your new question, so I'm gonna get to that now. You're a slight favorite in full PPR. Okay, good decisions to have. If Chase plays, you have to play him. And no, I'm not playing, but I'm not sitting Justin Jefferson. It's Justin Jefferson. I'm not sitting him for anybody. And if Chase plays, I guess you play him. Well, you have to leave Chase in there. You have to leave Chase in there. If he's out, I don't even know who you would go to. I don't know who your other options are to turn to. Chase is playing in the late window. Jefferson plays Sunday night. Pittman and Puka go early. Yeah, I think you have to keep Chase in there. I just would like to know who your best alternative is. And then as far as if that is 2 out of 3 running backs, the answer is Zamir White and Ezekiel Elliott. Take the volume. Take the volume. Those guys will run their backfields. Zamir White will get every opportunity for the Raiders. Ezekiel Elliott will get every opportunity for the Patriots. Achan's been a little pedestrian recently, and it's a brutal matchup on the road against Baltimore. But you have to keep Jamar Chase in there. You have to. It's Chase, Jefferson, and Pittman. Those are the guys you have to play. Okay, where am I at? I got the Reed over Addison. I got that. Houston over Kansas City. I got that. Then I got my members. Pickens or London? Pickens. Pickens. I just don't trust. I don't trust Drake London on the road. And the Bears are playing better defense of late. I don't trust. I mean, Drake London on the road this year has been abysmal. Same song and dance. His high water mark this year on the road was 3 catches for 28 yards, and he did get a touchdown. He still only ended up with 10 half PPR points. Half PPR road game points this year for Drake London: 4.1, 10.3, 8.4, 8, 5.1, 1.3, 3.4. Drake London is a wide receiver 4 or 5 on the road. I know Pickens is volatile, but if your options are Pickens or London, the answer for me is Pickens. I don't want to play Drake London on the road. There is no way. I don't trust the Falcons offense to begin with, and I certainly don't trust based on how they've played on the road this year, I don't trust their pass catchers. I barely trust Bijan Robinson, but you have to play him. You do not play Drake London on the road. Maybe when they have a real quarterback in Atlanta, we can revisit that in 2024. But for right now, you cannot play Drake London or probably Kyle Pitts for that matter, even though by the numbers it's a great matchup on the road. It's that simple. The Falcons they forget how to throw the football when they leave Atlanta. They're not great at it at home. They can't do it on the road. That's all that they've proven this year. We're sitting one between Pollard, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, and Ezekiel Elliott in full PPR. I mean, I guess for me, it would probably be. Oh, dude, man, it would probably be Ezekiel Elliott. You have to play Pollard tonight. I think you have to play. I got to play DJ Moore at home. It's not a good matchup for DJ Moore. I just would expect him to come through with some volume, especially with Darnell Mooney out. Ezekiel Elliott is a trendy selection this week as an RB2. And I guess you could go with him as a floor play. I just worry that this is a tough spot for him. It's a division game. The Bills are playing for their playoff lives. The Patriots are playing for nothing. Yes, the Bills have been had on defense this year. They've lost multiple starters, but this is a good spot at home against an inferior opponent. It wouldn't surprise me if the Bills pull away early from the Patriots in this game, and that might mean that Zeke catches a few more passes, but this feels like a spot for the Bills to kind of get right on defense. They're rolling now, playing an inferior opponent, maintaining their hold on a playoff position that they didn't have before they went on this run. Zeke might come through as a floor play. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't. It's going to be a tough division game for New England. Not playing for they're playing for pride. They want to spoil the Bills. They want to spoil the Bills' run here. So I guess there's some incentive there. I just worry about this spot for Zeke. I think if you need the floor play, you can try to roll the dice with Zeke, but otherwise, if I would shoot with DJ Moore in full PPR. Zamir White or Montgomery. So yeah, same answer as Johnny had that question a little earlier. The answer is the same for me. It's Zamir White. He's going to be running the backfield. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Jahmyr Gibbs game tonight for Detroit. If we expect the trends of this game to go as expected, could be more Gibbs catching passes out of the backfield. In a game with a lot of potential points scored, especially if Detroit is trailing on the road against a Cowboys team that is on a hell of a run, winning games at home of late. Zamir White, we know, is going to run this backfield. I would take the volume. I'll take Zamir White over Montgomery this week. Nico Collins, DeAndre Swift, or James Conner? I think the answer is Swift. I mean, it's a golden matchup. It's a golden matchup against the Arizona Cardinals at home. They give up the third over the past 4 weeks. On the season, the Cardinals are the most favorable matchup for opposing running backs. And even over the past 4 weeks, they're still top 3. They are terrible at stopping the run. This is a dream matchup for the Eagles' run game. I got to imagine DeAndre Swift has a big game. Yeah, there's always the threat of Jalen Hurts vulturing touchdowns from the tush push. But DeAndre Swift he scored last week. It's a great matchup. I think that's where you got to go. I think you have to go Swift. They should handle their business, the Eagles, at home against a 3-win Cardinals team that's not playing until they're playing for 2024. I would go Swift. It's a dream matchup. If Jamar can't play, well, you pivot to Deontay because Deontay is playing in the late window. Noah Brown is playing, I'm pretty sure, in the early window. So you can wait on Chase with Deontay Johnson. You can't wait on him with Noah Brown. Noah Brown plays in the early window. So you wait on Jamar Chase. You have to wait on Jamar Chase. And then you can pivot to Deontay if Jamar is ruled out. Yeah, that's how you play it. Yeah, you can't wait. You can't play Noah Brown. He plays in the 1:00 window, and you're not sitting the chance to play Jamar Chase for Noah Brown when you have Deontay. So you got to play Chase, pivot to Deontay if he sits. Pick one between Montgomery, Singletary, or Eckler. I do like Montgomery tonight, but he's more of a flex play than he is like what feels like a clear start. Eckler could come through in a great matchup. He played well against Denver a couple of weeks ago. He's been really bad outside of that Denver game, though, and this is a bad Chargers offense. And at least in that first game against Denver, Eckler had Justin Herbert still. So he's tough to trust. Singletary, again, he's in a better spot, especially with Stroud back. I think Jeffrey Simmons is still out for them for the Titans. I think you go Singletary. I think you go Singletary. He gets Stroud back. He is the 1A. I feel like Montgomery is more likely to be his team's 1B tonight. And while Eckler is the guy, he had a great week against Denver. Outside of that week, he's been bad recently. And now the Chargers are down to Easton Stick. He had a good week against Denver with Justin Herbert. It's a different situation. The Chargers are dead. They're out of the playoff contention. They're not a good team. They're not a good offense without Justin Herbert. They're also down their, pretty much all of their wide receivers. So, I mean, are they even able to stay on the field, sustain drives? I would go Singletary, who gets his quarterback back and should be his team's 1A at home in a matchup that Houston should be able to handle. Singletary over Montgomery over Eckler. Pick 2 between Terry, Zeke, Devontae. I guess you would play Zeke. And I guess you would play Devontae. I mean, it's been a bad year for Terry McLaurin. Well, I mean, once again, he gets killed with bad quarterback play throughout the year. And it's a favorable matchup as far as McLaurin should see some volume against San Francisco, but they're a good defense. Washington's a bad team. Maybe Jacoby Brissett helps McLaurin. We don't know. Yeah, I think you have to play Devontae Adams. And I think you have to play Ezekiel Elliott and just hope for some volume against the Bills. And you sit Terry. Johnny, that's my bad. I miscalculated. I miscounted. Only 2 flex. You have to wait for Chase. You have to wait for Jamar Chase. You have to. Man. So that probably means for me that you are sitting one of either Laporta or McBride. But I don't want to sit necessarily Laporta tonight, just in case you can't go, you can't fire up Jamar Chase, because then at least you could fire up Trey McBride. Okay. You play. Okay, here's what you do, Johnny, instead. You take DJ Moore out. I know that that's a tough call, but you play your anchors at wide receiver, and you can still pivot to Deontay if Chase is out. I want to play both of those stud tight ends. I want to play Laporta and McBride. I originally said DJ. I would take DJ Moore out. I would play Chase and Metcalf. You play Zamir White in one of those flex spots, and you play both tight ends, Laporta and McBride. I would take DJ out. I would have Chase and Metcalf, and if Chase can't play, you go to Deontay. That's what I would do. Sorry about that. I miscounted. Let's see. 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Zamir White, Michael Pittman, Chris Olave, and Puka. In standard, well, then I guess I would play Zamir White as one of my flex plays, or as my flex play, since it's standard scoring. And then you play Pittman and Olave, because they are their team's undisputed wide receiver ones in good matchups. Puka is awesome, but any given week, It could be Cooper Kupp as the Rams wide receiver one. I would roll with the guys who we know are their team's wide receiver one. Olave, Pittman, and I would go Zamir White in the flex since it's standard scoring. I don't want to sit Puka, but in your circumstances, I would sit Puka. And then Ferguson, McBride, Goddard. I'm going McBride. He's been easily the best tight end of these three this year. Marquise Brown is out. He should get peppered with targets, and it's a great matchup. The Eagles linebackers have struggled all year, and their secondary in general. They've not been a good tackling team. I got to think McBride sees big volume. I would play McBride over Goddard. I would play McBride over Ferguson for sure. Start two flex in half PPR. Eckler, Jones, Edwards-Helaire, Higgins, Reed. Is that Aaron Jones? I guess that's Aaron Jones. Tough to trust against Minnesota. It would be Aaron Jones. Unless that's Zay Jones, which I hope it's not. If it's Zay Jones, then we're not considering him at all. In half PPR, I'm more inclined to suggest running backs in half PPR. Aaron Jones has done well against Minnesota in his career. I guess I trust him a little bit more than I trust Eckler. And then I guess it would be between Reed and Higgins for me. Higgins, well, okay, here's what I would do. Because Higgins plays in the 425 window, and Jaden Reed plays in the night game, Sunday Night Football. I would start Aaron Jones if it's Aaron Jones. If it's not, then start Higgins and Reed. But I would start Aaron Jones if that Jones is Aaron Jones. If Chase is out, play Higgins. If Chase is in, play Reed. That's what I would do. If that's Aaron Jones, I would start Aaron Jones. And then I would play T. Higgins if Jamar Chase is ruled out. But if Jamar Chase is active, I would take Higgins out for Reed. And if that's Zay Jones, then play Higgins and Reed. Cole Kmet or Demario Douglas. Kmet's on the injury report, so that's a little concerning. Douglas had 5 catches for 74 yards last week. The Patriots will probably be throwing the ball. I don't know how much success they'll have, but they should be throwing the ball a ton. At least 8 targets in 3 of his last 4 games played with Demario Douglas. I think I would go Douglas over Kmet. I think I would go Douglas over Kmet. As far as who to keep in Dynasty, we can get into these questions in the offseason, but I would keep Kraft. Cade Otton hasn't proved much of anything, and Juwan Johnson? I mean, he's a decent option here and there, but he's not shown any consistency. Taysom Hill is there. They signed Foster Moreau. The Jimmy Graham is whatever. I guess I can't imagine Jimmy Graham is playing for beyond this year or the net. But if he comes back, that just adds another, wrinkle into that situation. I mean, the Tucker Kraft is the answer. It looks like the Packers hit on both of their tight end picks this year in the draft. They have to find a way to keep Musgrave and Kraft involved moving forward in the future because they both look good. The answer is Kraft. Need a wide receiver and a flex. Adams, Ridley, Osborne, Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler, Zamir White, and it's full PPR. Well, the receiver has to be Devontae. If you have to play one of the wide receivers, play your best guy. Play Devontae Adams. Yeah, Osborne could see an increased role if Addison's out, but we don't know if Addison's going to be out. Ridley, we know that he's catching passes from C.J. Beathard. I don't like that as much. It has to be Adams. You have to play Adams. Um, if you have to play a wide receiver, it has to be Devontae. As far as those running backs, because you're picking one of them for the flex, um, Jones and Chandler square off in the same game. Um, Jones is a more talented player than Chandler. It's easy to forget because Jones hasn't played a lot this year. And you could go Zamir White. The matchup is in White's favor, although the Vikings have been more susceptible to running backs the past 4 weeks. They are a good matchup. I'm a sucker for Aaron Jones. I've always been a fan of Aaron Jones. He's always been my guy. I'm going to go back to the well with him one more time, and I'm going to suggest Aaron Jones. Chandler's been on a good run, and it's a great matchup for him, but Jones is the more talented player, and at least he has his quarterback. The Vikings are once again rotating quarterbacks. They're down to Jaren Hall. Whatever you think of Jordan Love, he's better than any option the Vikings currently have to pivot to. I'll trust that situation a little bit more, and I'll say Aaron Jones as your flex. And Aaron Jones is a better player than Zamir White, even though Zamir White has had a couple of good weeks here recently. We want to make sure we respect the vet and what he has accomplished in Aaron Jones. That's where I'm going. I'm going Devontae, and I'm going Aaron Jones. And yeah, Jake, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. You pray that Chase plays. If he doesn't, you pivot to Jaden Reed. That's where I'm at. Yes, I know it. You have to wait. If you have Jamar Chase, you have to wait on him. You just have to. You didn't draft him lower than 3rd overall this year. Maybe 4th or 5th overall in certain leagues, depending on who prioritizes what. But Jamar Chase is a stud. He's a top 3 receiver in this league any given week. I know it sucks with Jake Browning, but they're playing for their playoff lives. It's not looking great for them, but they're still mathematically alive. The Chiefs don't look like the Chiefs this year. They can certainly be had even at home. You wait for Jamar Chase. You wait for Jamar Chase. You have to. You have to. If you have Jamar Chase and your best pivot currently is somebody that plays in the 1 o'clock window, find somebody on your wire that plays in the 4 o'clock window or later. You have to wait on Jamar. It's championship week. You drafted him in the first round. You have to wait on your best players. If they are available, you fire them up. Got to. All right. We're about 45 minutes from kickoff of the Cowboys and the Lions. So I want to make sure I get through everybody. Montgomery tonight or risk waiting for Jamar Chase? Jelly of the month. Who else is on the waiver wire? Who else is? I guess I just want to know. If this is your situation, then maybe you just play David Montgomery. But again, Jamar Chase is somebody I want to wait on. I don't trust Javonte Williams in a brutal spot, given the situation with the Broncos offense. I just don't love the spot that he's in at all. But again, Chase is somebody it's worth it to wait on. It's worth it to wait on. Yeah, I mean, I don't trust Javonte without Yeah, I know not Russ is obviously not has had his trials and tribulations, but I trust him more than I trust Jared Stidham. I just don't love that spot. I do not. Um, but at the end of the day, I do want to wait on Jamar Chase. If there's nobody else, if there's nobody else, this is gonna hurt me. If there's nobody else, sit Montgomery, wait on Jamar Chase. If Chase doesn't go, you can pivot to Javonte Williams. Uh, I don't have a ton of confidence with that suggestion. Obviously, we're hoping Jamar Chase plays, but if you have Jamar Chase, I'm just going to keep going back to this at the end of the day. This is my if you have Jamar Chase, you have to wait. You have to hold out hope for him. You have to wait on him. Back-to-back practices to close the week. Chance to return to play for Jamar Chase after missing week 16. Yeah, you have to wait. You have to wait on Jamar Chase. You have to. You have to wait on Jamar Chase. If he sits, then play Javonte. Yeah, that's my final thought there. All right. Need a running back, a wide receiver, and 2 flex between Saquon, Swift, Connor, Chandler, Javonte, Davante, Jaden Reed, Rashid Shaheed. Your wide receiver is Devontae Smith. Your running back is DeAndre Swift. You have to play Saquon. And in full PPR, I'll say Jaden Reed. No Christian Watson, no Luke Musgrave. Reed has been awesome. Yeah. Your running back, your wide receiver, and your 2 flex. Put Jaden Reed in the flex because he's playing Sunday night. And then everybody else can go in whatever order you want. Saquon, Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift. Saquon because he's Saquon. Swift in a great matchup. Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith has been a really good wide receiver yet again this year. Caught a long touchdown last week at home. Go back to the well. Yep. Saquon, Swift, Devontae Smith, Jaden Reed. That's where I'm going. James Cook, Zamir White, or Devon Achane in full PPR. And then I'll get to the wide receivers in a second. It's between Cook and Zamir White. Cook is the better player, but in a brutal matchup. Zamir White is the lesser player, but he's in a great matchup. Cook had a down week last week against the Chargers. 20 carries for 70 yards. He also fumbled the ball twice, losing it once. Prior to that, he was on an absolute heater, putting up double-digit fantasy points in 5 straight weeks for James Cook prior to last week, with a 36-point blow-up in week 15 in half PPR scoring. It's tough. It's between James Cook and Zamir White. And Zamir was rock solid both weeks that he had the opportunity to step in. 22 carries for 145 yards last week, 17 for 69 carries and a touchdown in week 15 against the Chargers. Also caught 3 passes for 16 yards. Cook is in the worst matchup by far, but he's the better player. He's the better player. I'm taking James Cook. I'm taking James Cook at home over Zamir White. I can't trust Achane on the road against Baltimore. Give me James Cook. Hopkins, Ridley, or Demarcus Robinson? I mean, I guess I would go Hopkins. It's a revenge game for him playing the Houston Texans. I know that Hopkins has been impossible to trust, but Ridley is down his quarterback. He's down to CJ Beathard. Demarcus Robinson has, he's flashed, but he's a dart throw. Hopkins is the floor play. Robinson is an all or nothing play if you're desperate, but only if you're desperate. Like you're a significant underdog. If you're not, I would play Hopkins and hope he comes through against his old team. Revenge games generally motivate players. Between the Colts or the Broncos, Colts are playing for something at home. The Broncos are defending home turf against Easton Stick. I tend to lean teams that are playing for something. I'll go the Colts. I'll say the Colts over the Broncos. I just prefer, if you're both teams are at home, but one is playing for the playoffs and the other isn't, I'll take the Colts. They're playing for their playoff lives. That's where I go. That's where I go. Fields or Carr, I'll take Justin Fields. Give me the upside. Give me the upside of Fields as a runner. Especially at home. I'll take Fields. Everett or Ferguson? Ferguson. Play the better. Ferguson's been better, and he's in a better situation. Everett might come through with some volume, but just give me Ferguson playing tonight at home. The Cowboys have been stellar at home this year. That's the situation I want to chase. I'll play Ferguson. Have to pick two quarterbacks between Minshew, Stidham, Brissett, Holland, Zappy. Okay. I guess you play Minshew. Because at least he's at home. Jaron Hall is in a good matchup against Green Bay. I'm not crazy about Jacoby Brissett being less than 100% against San Francisco. I'm just not crazy about that one. I mean, Stidham is in a good matchup by the numbers, but he's down all of it. Cortland Sutton's out. Jerry Jeudy's questionable to suit up. And then Zappy is the other option on the road against Buffalo. That's tough to trust. If your gut is telling you to gamble with Jaron Hall, I'm okay with that. And then I would also play Minshew. I would play Minshew and I would play Hall. That's where I would go. Minshew gets Michael Pittman back. He's got Jonathan Taylor. He's at home. He should be okay. And then I'll take Jaron Hall throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson without Jair Alexander playing. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Stidham is down all of his weapons. Brissett is less than 100% playing the 49ers. No thanks. Zappy on the road against the Bills. I'm not. That's tough to get behind. Minshew and Hall. I'm okay with that one. Wide receiver. Okay, let me see. Any changes? Okay, it's any change question. Hill, obviously, no. You got Rashee Rice in there. You could take him out for Higgins. Okay. Kyron, RB is one of the running backs. ETN is the other one. I think that's good. Standard scoring. I mean, it's standard scoring. I think you have to play Saquon Barkley in there, man. You got to get Saquon in there. Or you might not be a man. Apologies. Could be anybody. Everybody plays this game. Sorry. You got to play Saquon over Nico Collins. He's got to be in your flex. You have to play Saquon Barkley. You just have to. It's Saquon freaking Barkley. I know the Rams have been good, but like he's at home. Yeah, we got to play Saquon. you have to play Saquon. I'm playing Saquon over Nico Collins, especially in standard scoring for sure. That's my change. That's what I'm switching up. Rice over Higgins is fine unless Jamar Chase is out. If Jamar Chase is out, then I'm inclined to say Higgins over Rice for volume. But otherwise, I think it looks good. Otherwise, I think it looks good. Hey, Senor Rojo, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Very kind of you. All right. Supers do jump the line. I have my spot in line, so just asking for some patience, but it's one of the perks of the channel. If you're kind enough to offer a super, that will be a line jumper. Appreciate it, Senor Rojo. Um, Warren Hopkins, Demarcus Robinson. Okay. And then Charbonnet if no Walker. It's hard to trust Smith and Jigba against the Steelers. But I mean, if Walker's out, Charbonnet. And then if Walker's in, you can play Warren. Warren is the guy. Like Warren is probably the guy moving forward for the Steelers offense. He's better than Najee Harris. There's no doubt about that at this point. That's I think for me, yeah, Zamir White definitively has to be in there. And then yeah, you can wait. You have the advantage, Senior Rojo, of waiting to see what the status is of Kenneth Walker. If Walker's out, you can play Charbonnet, who will have the role to himself. If Walker is in, you could play Jaylen Warren. Yeah. Charbonnet if Walker's out. Warren if Walker's in. And Zamir, yes, I agree. Like Zamir, locked and loaded as an RB2 with volume tomorrow in a great matchup. Appreciate the super. Yeah, Hopkins, no. Demarcus Robinson, no. Smith and Jigba, no. You got to go with those running backs, depending on the option. Jake, appreciate the kind words, man. Thank you so much. Happy that some of you guys think enough of me to come hang out with your seasons on the line. Obviously, best of luck to everybody getting this championship dub. Hopefully, I can help you get there. And again, at the end of the day, I'm just giving you my thoughts. You might disagree. Your gut might be telling you something else. That's okay. It's your team. Go with your gut. If you're not vibing with my suggestions or my thoughts, that's okay. You got yourself here. Go with what you think makes the most sense if you don't necessarily like what I'm saying. I can only offer my thoughts, but appreciate you guys thinking enough to come listen to them, to come hear them. Okay, back up to I think it's Brando. McBride or Kittle. Man, I mean, you're talking about like the tight end breakout of the there's been a lot of tight end breakouts this year, but McBride is certainly one of them. Or, all reliable in George Kittle, who was really strong last week. If you can only play one, man, I think you have to go McBride. Because any given week, Kittle can be the tight end one, but any given week he could be behind Debo and Brandon Ayuk in the pecking order for targets. McBride is the dude for the Cardinals this week with no Marquise Brown and in a great matchup against Philly. I think you got to go McBride. I don't want to sit Kittle, but if you have to pick one, I'm going McBride. That's where I'm at. Full PPR pick 2. Diggs, Nico, and Cup. Diggs has been really frustrating recently. It's a tough matchup at home. Nico gets his quarterback back. I don't want to sit Stephon Diggs, man. I really don't want to sit Stephon Diggs. But I think that might be where you have to go. I think that's where you have to go. I would play Cup. I don't. Oh man, the second I suggest to sit Stefan freaking Diggs is the week that he probably goes off. Nico, if you want to play it safe, but Diggs, if you want to trust and ride with your guy that you probably drafted in the first round this year, I think Cup has to be in. And then between Taylor, Cook, and Mixon, I just realized this is LeBron James asking me this question. What's up, LeBron? Hopefully you're feeling better because I know you have an illness ahead of tonight's game, but it looks like you're going to play for the Lakers, so that's exciting. I think it's got to be Taylor. At home, you have to play Taylor. I like James Cook. I like Mixon, but if you can only play one of those dudes, play Jonathan Taylor running behind that Colts offensive line at home. I would go Taylor. Zach Moss is out. I would go Taylor. Tougher matchup for Cooks and Mixon. Not as much for Taylor. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. So, Cup for sure. Nico floor. Diggs if you want to ride with your guy or the guy that you drafted high this year, even though he's been really disappointing the past few weeks. And then Taylor over Cook and Mixon for sure. And real quick, Greg, yes, Walker's a sit. If those are your options, yes. Yes, because ETN is playing the Panthers, one of the most gettable matchups on the ground in the league. Yes, you have it right. Walker's a sit. Game time decision, and you could play those three guys. You play those three guys. You play McCaffrey, you play Kyron, you play ETN. Walker's a sit if you have those three, 100%. Start one at flex. Zamir White, Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, Jaden Reed. Dude. All really good options. And which tight end would you start at the position? If you can only play one, I don't want to sit either one. And I think I'm definitively saying McBride. Laporta could, any given week. Laporta's a stud. He's proven he's a stud. He's going to be a good tight end in this league for a long time. But it could be an Amon-Ra St. Brown week any given week. It could be a Jahmyr Gibbs week any given week. It could be, maybe Jameson Williams steals a bomb for a score. I would go McBride. He is the clear-cut dude for the Arizona Cardinals with Marquise Brown out. He's been an absolute horse the past month of the season. Kyler likes throwing him the ball, and it's a great matchup against Philly. It's not as good of a matchup for Laporta against the Cowboys. I'll take McBride as your tight end. And then I think you got to play Zamir White. I'm chasing the volume that a running back gets, and that's all there is to it. And Zamir White's been, the numbers have been there at the end of the day for Zamir the past couple of weeks. Got about a half hour left until kickoff. Promise I'll get to everybody. Pollard, Singletary, Reed, and you can only play one. Pollard. Play the Cowboys starting running back at home where the Cowboys have been dominant this year. They've been absolute beasts. Pollard should be a beneficiary of that on offense tonight. I know it's not a good matchup. The Lions have a great defense, and their defensive line is good. You got to play Pollard. Play the dude that you expected to rely heavily on this year. You're in the championship. I would rock with Pollard at home. Zamir White or Isaiah Pacheco, I'm going Zamir White. Pacheco, I know he cleared concussion protocol. I just don't feel great about players playing less than a week from suffering the concussion, whether they get cleared or not. This is Zamir White's backfield without Josh Jacobs, and it's a great matchup by the numbers. And I don't have any injury concerns about Zamir White going into the game. Has to be Zamir. Zamir White over Pacheco for sure. Gabe Davis or Terry McLaurin. Bro, I feel your pain. Maybe you got Amari Cooper, maybe you got Jalen Waddle, maybe you got both. Gabe is impossible to trust in this matchup against the Patriots, and he's impossible to trust in general. He's all or nothing, but he's been nothing like 4 out of the past 5 weeks. And the New England Patriots are still stingy on defense, even though they're out of it this year. Man, I'm going to close my eyes and put Terry McLaurin in my lineup over Gabe. I'm going to close my eyes, put Terry in, and hope that Jacoby Brissett can stabilize him. If you remember last year with the Browns, Jacoby Brissett locked on Amari Cooper regularly. You hope that he would do the same with his wide receiver one again, and that would be Terry McLaurin. That's what I'm hoping on. I'm closing my eyes and putting Terry McLaurin over Gabe Davis. That's what I'm doing. Gabe Davis is an all or nothing, most likely nothing. If he pops, I promise you nobody calls it or sees it coming because the Patriots are still strong in the secondary, strong on defense in general. That's not the problem that the Patriots have this year. It's all offense for them. That defense is still good. Gabe has struggled in his career against the Patriots. I don't feel good about that one. Earlier this year against New England, Gabe caught one pass for 6 yards in their previous matchup. I can't. Terry. Uh, Daniel Zamir over Pacheco. If you've got Pacheco in there, everything else looks fine. But if you've got Pacheco in there and you have Zamir White on your bench, get Zamir White in there over Pacheco. I don't want to play Pacheco if I have an option like Zamir White to pivot to. I know he's cleared. I know Pacheco's cleared. It's a great matchup against Cincinnati. For me personally, I don't feel good about a player playing less than a week after suffering a concussion. I'll go with Zamir White and the volume. That's my slight preference. Dak or Josh Allen, you have to play Allen. I know Dak's been great at home, but you have, even in a bad matchup, it's if you play Dak, that's on your own accord, which is fine. Again, like I said earlier, this is your team. At the end of the day, you make the call. I have to play Josh Allen, even though his matchup is not as strong, not as good, not as ideal. Yeah, I gotta play Josh Allen. I have to. Dak should be good tonight. He's been good at home. I gotta play Allen. And then same thing, Allen or Purdy. You have to play Allen. And then I will say play Connor over Eckler. At least Connor has Kyler, and the Eagles have. I think the Eagles defense should be fine putting up some fantasy points tomorrow because I think they will win the game. But that doesn't mean that the Cardinals, the whatever skill guys they have left, Trey McBride, James Conner, can't put up numbers, can't put up some points themselves. I would say Connor over Eckler. At least he has Kyler. Eckler's been bad outside of one game, and it was against Denver, but he had Justin Herbert. Now we're down to Easton Stick, and Eckler's been bad the second half of the year. No, Allen over Purdy definitively, and Connor over Eckler. Yes, Connor over Eckler. Likely Kincaid or Kraft? Likely. Kincaid's opportunities have kind of evaporated with Dawson Knox returning. Kraft has been good, should be regularly featured, especially with Musgrave not yet ready to return. But Likely has assumed tight end one duties for the Ravens. He's catching passes from what is probably going to be the MVP in Lamar Jackson. Big game for the Ravens at home against Miami. I'm playing Likely overall over those other guys for sure. Kraft should be involved. Kincaid might be involved. Likely with at home catching passes from Lamar Jackson. That's where I want to go. That's what I want to do. Let me keep it moving. Stroud or Stafford? Stroud is your upside play. Stafford is a little bit more of a safe play. If you're a favorite and you can get away with a safe play, then Stafford. But otherwise, I would roll the dice on Stroud's upside. He's been excellent this year, and it's a good matchup at home. And no, I'm not pulling Laporta for I like likely this week, but I'm not taking I'm not taking I like likely this week, but I'm not taking him over Laporta. It's close because the lines are on the road, but I'll take Laporta. He's been too good this year. McBride's been a little better, but Laporta over likely. McBride's been better recently. I think Laporta's been better on the season, but McBride's been better recently. And yeah, Stroud over Stafford for me. Eckler against the Broncos, Montgomery against the Cowboys, or Zamir against the Colts. If it's only one, then I'll say Zamir White because he's going to get all the volume. Montgomery is going to cede work to Jahmyr Gibbs tonight, and Eckler I don't trust in the bad offense. Zamir White will get all of the volume. That's where I'm going. Oh, start two. Sorry, Zamir White and Montgomery. I'll take the players in the better situations playing for something. Zamir and Montgomery, yes, definitively. It's not close for me. I don't. If I have decent pivots off of Austin Eckler, I'm going to those decent pivots. Montgomery absolutely qualifies even on the road in a tough matchup. And then Everett or Kraft. Again, Everett could see some good volume because all their wide receivers are out. I give the slight nod to Kraft because the Packers are missing pieces themselves. And I'll take the better quarterback situation. I'll take Jordan Love over Easton Stick. So it's close, but I'll say Kraft over Everett. Like Everett should see some good volume, but Kraft should too. Christian Watson doubtful. Luke Musgrave not expected to return this week. Kraft. Yeah, I'll say Kraft. The difference for me is Jordan Love versus Easton Stick. Jahmyr Gibbs or Saquon in standard scoring. You can only play one of these dudes. Saquon. I expect Gibbs to have a good night tonight, but if you don't get points for catches, I'll take the guy who is guaranteed to lead his backfield at home, Saquon. If you can only play one and it's standard scoring, Saquon over Gibbs. I don't want to sit Jahmyr Gibbs, but the lack of you don't get points for catches, and Saquon is the unquestioned dude for the Giants. Yeah, it's got to be Saquon. It's got to be Saquon. It's got to be Saquon. Devontae Smith or T. Higgins. So we're not going to know if Chase is out before Devontae Smith plays. Smith plays in the 1:00 window. I'll just take Devontae Smith because if Chase is in, I would have preferred to play. Yes, if Chase is out, I'd rather play Higgins than Chase. But at the end of the day, we don't or than Smith. If Chase is out, I'd rather play Higgins than Smith. But we're not going to know that before Devontae Smith plays. I'll take Devontae Smith catching passes from Jalen Hurts. And roll the dice there. I'll take Smith. Hurts or Dak? Hurts. Again, I know Dak's on a heater. He's been so good at home. You got to play, there's three guys I would play ahead of Dak: Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. If you've got Kyler or Dak, I'll play Dak. If you've got Mahomes or Dak, I would play Dak. But there's three dudes I'm still leaning on no matter the matchup over anybody else. I'm playing Jalen Hurts if I have him. I'm playing Lamar Jackson if I have him. And I'm playing Josh Allen if I have him. Dak has been excellent at home, and he's probably going to have a good night tonight, but I can't move off those other guys. I got to play Hurts if I have him. I got to play Lamar if I have him. I got to play Josh Allen if I have him. Got to. So you got to play Hurts. Don't worry about the fact that your opponent has CeeDee Lamb. If you sit Dak and play Hurts, you can just straight up root against Lamb. You can just straight up root against him. I know that CeeDee's he's going to have a chance to have a good game, but, we're splitting hairs here. I'm leaning on Jalen Hurts. He's too elite of an option week in, week out for fantasy. Dak's great at home. I got to give the slight nod to Hurts. Same goes for Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. If you don't have one of those three, then yeah, play Dak. But if you have Allen, Hurts, or Lamar, those are the guys that have to be in. Have to. Have to. Pollard or Gibbs and it's standard scoring. Gibbs has been the better player. Pollard, I feel good about at home. Pollard. Slight, man, I don't want to sit Jahmyr Gibbs, but the Cowboys have been so strong on offense at home. I'll say Pollard. I'll say Pollard. Goff or Kyler? Go Kyler. Play the upside. Goff on the road, I don't like as much. Kyler's on the road, but better matchup, and he'll run. Go Kyler. Senior Rowe, glad to hear that. Get some chips. Let's everybody get these wins. Brian, I got your question. You got to go Saquon. Greg, I got your question. I think that's Walker you meant, not Waller. I'm just realizing that now. If you have, yeah, I know you have Walker. Yes, play those other three running backs for sure. Montgomery, Achane, or Elliott. Sit one. Achane. I mean, Achane on the road against Baltimore. And yes, Mostert's on the injury report, but it's been a couple of quiet weeks for Achane the past few weeks. The last time he blew up was against Washington, which everybody's doing because the Commanders are terrible on defense. On the road against Baltimore, I can't trust Achane. I just can't. I'd go Montgomery and I'd go Zeke. Chase the volume that I would expect those guys to get, or are more likely to get anyway in Montgomery's case. Sit Achane. Pollard or Diggs in the flex. Diggs has done absolutely nothing of late. Meanwhile, Pollard is at home. Diggs against the Patriots when they played them earlier this year. He had 6 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown, so he can beat the Patriots. Gabe Davis can't. Let's put it that way. Here's where I'm at. Pollard is your safe play if you think you can play it safe. If it's an even matchup or maybe you're a slight favorite, play Pollard. If you think you need some upside, I would go Diggs. If you're an underdog and you want to go, if you think you need upside, go Diggs. I know that he hasn't been great of late, but it's Stephon freaking Diggs. You still trust him any given week catching the ball from Josh Allen, and they're at home. Diggs is your upside play. Pollard is your safe play. It depends on what you think you need. Pollard or Henry? Man. Pollard is your upside play that I would probably go with. Henry is a safer play. He did terribly against Houston a couple of weeks ago. That doesn't mean that that'll duplicate itself. But the Titans are a difficult offense to trust. Pollard is in an offense that is easier to trust, and especially being at home. I think my answer is Pollard over Derrick Henry if you can only choose one. Bills or Raiders? The Bills. You got Bills at home against Bailey Zappi. I know that they weren't great last week, but they were on the road in a cross-country matchup against LA. They're at home this week, defending home turf against an inferior Patriots team, and the Bills are on a run. Chase the hot hand. They should defend home turf. They should take care of their business at home. The Raiders on the road, I don't trust as much. Give me a team at home playing for something over a team on the road playing for something. I'll take the Bills. If you didn't play the Browns and you don't have the Baltimore Ravens, the Bills are my next favorite option on the slate this week, no matter who your other options are. Browns on Thursday. If you played them, congrats. They did well. If you have Baltimore, you just have to play Baltimore. Otherwise, if the Buffalo Bills are available to you at home against Bailey Zappi, that's where you go. That's where you go on defense. Ferguson or McBride? McBride. I would take Ferguson out. I like Ferguson. He's been good. He's good at he's probably a reliable option at home. McBride is a high-end tight end one, given the expected volume and the run that he's on, plus the matchup. I don't care if Ferguson scores a touchdown tonight. I think McBride's volume and ceiling are both higher. I would go McBride. That's where I would go. No Marquise Brown. Good matchup against those Eagles linebackers. McBride should have a strong game tomorrow. I don't care. If Ferguson catches a touchdown tonight, I wouldn't even panic. If he catches 2, then that's just lucky for Ferguson and an unfortunate call. But McBride's got all volume in his favor and opportunity in his favor. Go on McBride. Goff or Mayfield? I'll say Baker. Goff's on the road. Not as much confidence in that one. Baker's at home in a strong matchup. He's playing well. He's got the Bucs in the driver's seat to win the division. He's throwing the ball to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I'll say Mayfield over Goff. It's close, but I'll say Mayfield because he's at home. There you go, Ray. Let's get this dub. That looks like a good team. Looks like a good unit. Looks like a good squad that should be able to bring it home. Stroud or Tua? You're going Stroud. I'm not playing Tua on the road against Baltimore. Stroud comes back. Beatable matchup at home against Tennessee. I'll take Stroud. I don't want to play Tua on the road. Against the Ravens. And then real quick, I'll take Laporta over Ferguson. Give me the guy who's put up multiple tight end 1 weeks as a rookie. Even in a tough matchup, I would expect the Lions to be throwing the ball. Go Laporta. Jake, I think I got your question. So I said I would say Zamir White. If I missed that, Jake, I apologize. I would go Zamir White over Zeke. It's a great matchup by the numbers. A lot of people believe in Zeke this week. He should be okay. I kind of worry that he doesn't come through. It's a tough division game on the road, and the Bills should be able to handle their business against an inferior division opponent. I'm not as crazy about the matchup for Zeke as other analysts are. I know Zeke is a trendy pick as an RB2 this week, and he should be fine as a floor play, but I can see the scenario where he doesn't deliver in a tough spot where the Bills might just blow the Patriots out. Ty Chandler, Zamir White, or Achane? Zamir White. Take the volume. Ty Chandler's in a good spot against Green Bay, but he didn't really come through last week. He did get the touchdown, but he struggled otherwise. I'll take Zamir White as an RB2 with volume. Achane, I'm sitting against Baltimore on the road. I can't advocate for Achane. I got the other question: Laporta over Ferguson. It's sort of close because Ferguson's on the road, but or because Laporta's on the road. Excuse me, but I gotta play Laporta. Saquon or Rashee Rice? Saquon. I mean, play your stud. I know Rashee Rice has been good, but we're talking about Saquon Barkley at home. Play Saquon Barkley. Definitively 100%. Rest of these options are really strong. Go for the upside. Go for the big play. Go for Saquon. He's going to come through with volume. Tyrod Taylor makes that offense better. Saquon. You play Saquon definitively over Rashee Rice. I think I got everybody. I think I got everyone. I can hop on tomorrow for a bit if that would be helpful for folks who are still between some options prior to the Sunday slate. Obviously, it's championship week, so if you want to run any thoughts by me, you can. You can also hit me in Discord if you're not a member of my Discord community yet. It is the second link in the description of this stream and all of the videos and streams on this channel. Free to join. Members get a little bit more love over there as far as, any detailed breakdowns to questions, but you can also crowdsource from the community as well. I'll hop on for a bit tomorrow prior to the games. But we are at the end of the chat with about 5 minutes to go before kickoff. I think I got everybody. Best of luck in your championship matchup. Congratulations to everybody who's in here playing for something. It is a huge accomplishment just to get to this week. Only 2 people in your league get to participate in the championship matchup. If that's you, congrats. Now let's bring it home with a win. I'll hop on briefly tomorrow for anybody who wants to run any last-second thoughts by me. 11 a.m. Eastern. It's probably when I'll start. Somewhere between 11 and 11:30. I'll move closer to 11 a.m. Eastern just to maximize the time. And we can sort anything else out there. What's going on, Iron? I was about to wrap up, but if you got anything with 5 minutes to go, let me know ahead of this game. Need a big Dak. Oh, okay. You already have what you need. Look, Dak is the QB4. Dak is the QB4 for me if I had to rank my quarterbacks this week. The only guys ahead of him are Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. I'm playing Dak over Patrick Mahomes. I'm playing Dak over Kyler Murray. I'm playing Dak over Justin Fields. He should be really good at home. He should be really good at home. There's only 3 guys I'm playing over Dak at quarterback. Hurts, Lamar, Allen. That's it. He should be good. Big game for the Cowboys. Big game for the Lions. Potential for a lot of points to be scored. Yeah, I think you'll be okay, Iron. Even though you're missing some key pieces at wideout. The Amari Cooper injury, that one hurt. That one definitely hurt. That's right. You play for the jersey. That's awesome. Nicely done. How do I feel about Mostert? He's tough to trust, but you probably have to fire him up as an RB2. He should be good to go. He's questionable, but I think he's on the positive side of questionable. I don't know who your alternative options are, but you got to play. Oh, Higgins. No. No. You play Mostert. You play, even if it's full PPR. I don't know what your scoring is, but even if it's full PPR, you play Mostert. It's a bad matchup against the Ravens, but Mostert's been too good this year. He's a reason you're here. He's a reason you're here. Play Mostert over Higgins. Yup. And you got, okay, Dak and McCaffrey. I mean, you're talking about Dak and McCaffrey. You're talking about the horses at their positions. You're talking about big-time players at their position, and McCaffrey is the running back for the better part of this past half decade. I think he scored like 30 touchdowns in 34 games with the 49ers or something crazy like that. He's the best running back in football. Yeah. You feel like you can win any week when Christian McCaffrey's in your lineup. You feel like you can win any week. I don't care what the rest of your team looks like. You feel like you can win. That's what he does for your team. He just helps you win. You don't have to think about it. You just fire him up and you enjoy the 20-plus burger. 20, 25-point burger that he gives you. So, yeah. Again, one more time with a couple minutes left to go prior to kickoff. Best of luck to everybody in this championship round. Congrats on me even making it this far. It is a difficult task to get here, but you did it. I will be back on tomorrow for a little while. If there's anybody who wants to run any last-minute thoughts by me, 11 a.m. Eastern, I will be here. So be sure to tune in if you want to run anything by me prior to kickoff. You're playing Saquon Barkley over Zamir White and Connor. You got to go with your stud. At home, you got to go with Saquon. And real quick, Pollard, Higgins, Swift, Singletary. You got to play Pollard. You got to play Swift. I want to play Zamir White, but if you can only play 2, play Pollard attached to the Cowboys offense at home. and play Swift in a beautiful matchup against the Arizona Cardinals for Philly tomorrow. Play Pollard, play Swift. Singletary, Zeke, Zamir White, all good options, but I'm rolling with Pollard and Swift. And then as far as, and we've officially hit kickoff, so your Cowboys and Lions are locked in, whether they're in your lineup or on your bench. I give the slightest of nods to Zamir White over James Conner, just because if there's one thing the Eagles are solid at, it's stopping the run. The Colts have given up a ton of points to opposing running backs recently. That's the difference for me. Give me Zamir White slightly over Conner. I want to play both if I can, but if I have to sit one, I would sit Conner. Yeah, you got to play Saquon at home. If you have Saquon at home, yes, it's the Rams, but Tyrod Taylor makes that offense better. You trust Saquon to come through for you at home. That's why you drafted him in the first round. The Giants are stupidly not dead for the playoffs. I say stupidly because what are they? They're still alive at like 6-8. Or no, wait, did they get eliminated last week? No, they did. My bad. They did get eliminated. Well, Saquon is still playing for a contract. Or did he get? Is he? God, am I all over the friggin' place? Did the Giants lock him up long term, or was it just like a 1-year deal? 1 year. So Saquon's playing for more money next year. So the motivation remains, even though the Giants are eliminated. Yeah. So point stands. You got to play Saquon. Jaguars or Chiefs? I assume the Bills are not available. I don't really want to play either one. If I had to pick, I would pick Kansas City because they're the better unit. I'd rather play the Indianapolis Colts if they're available. If they happen to be available, I'd rather play them than either one of those two teams. I'd rather play the Chicago Bears at home against Atlanta if they're available. Otherwise, I'll play the Chiefs. They're the better unit than the Jags. And no, you got to play DK Metcalf over Jaden Reed. You got to play Metcalf over Jaden Reed. Play your studs. Reed has emerged. He's a big time. He looks like he's big time, but DK Metcalf, we know he's big time. You got to play Metcalf at home. Start your studs when it's win or go home. If the Bills are not available for defense, I'd rather play the Colts. I'll play the Chicago Bears at home against Atlanta. But if neither of those are available, then Kansas City over Jacksonville. They're the better unit. And now Jacksonville's defense has to support a backup quarterback in CJ Beathard. I don't like that as much. I'll take the Chiefs. Goff, a big conversion on third down. See what happens on this Lions opening drive. Okay. Once again, we are at the end of the chat. If there's any last minute questions in the next minute, I will take them. Otherwise, you can hit me in Discord. Again, Discord, second link in the description of this stream. You can join there and think through any questions there with the community. Otherwise, I will be available. There goes Amon-Ra making a play. There you go. For anybody who's got Amon-Ra St. Brown making plays early on, this game could have a lot of points scored in it. 11 a.m. Eastern, I will be on just to hop if you have any other last-minute thoughts. But again, otherwise, best of luck. Enjoy the game tonight. Congrats on being on the championship. And if anybody has anything that they want to run through me tomorrow, I will be here 11 a.m. Eastern. If not, best of luck. Congrats to everybody in their championship match. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Good luck championship week. Let's get these dubs.